So the day after I make a new video about Zomboid, they update the game and add a bunch of stuff, including RAGDOLLS. So that's kind of the last thing I expected to come out of the Indie Stone. And they don't actually look that bad. I mean, they do sometimes mess up. I think it's mainly how the arms and legs twist on the zombies, but the general weight and rotation is really well done. Also, when you crash into zombies at high speeds, sometimes the zombies get stuck in your hood, so I imagine we're about to get a plethora of videos of people dying because their car got launched into space. Sadly, the ragdolls only trigger when you use firearms or run over a zombie in a car. My guess is that they're working on making them sync up perfectly with the zombie death animations, so when you get an uppercut in the zombie, the kinetic motion actually transfers to the ragdoll properly. This is easy to do with guns and cars, since it's just the direction you're aiming or driving, but they're probably going to have to manually add a swing direction for each animation. Overall, they look pretty good for the first update in a beta build, not to mention how crazy it looks just to have ragdolls in Project Zomboid. But it is unnatural, and it might harm the art style a little bit. But personally, I think it's really good, and I'd rather have them than not. They do need some tweaking though. I think the general weight of them is done really well, but the way the arms and legs twist needs some work. Sometimes they'll keep moving when they shouldn't, or they'll do some weird thing with their legs. But with time and updates, I'm sure they'll address these issues. Also, they made it so you trip over zombies that are laying on the ground. It's really hard to get used to. If it's a bug, I hope it gets fixed. If it's not, I hope there's at least a sandbox option to disable it, because it's really annoying. There is other stuff in this update besides the ragdolls. Now you can rip tarps into smaller sections. No, but seriously, this update adds a bunch of crafting stuff. Lots of little missing stuff. Like, now you can craft carpentry chisels with blacksmithing. Now you can forge a wrench, that kind of thing. You can now find sewing patterns in the world. They're a lot like the schematics. They give you a random clothing recipe instead of a weapon or armor. They added the tailoring profession, and now there's an alternative to thread, sinew thread, which is as gross as it sounds. When you butcher an animal, you can get sinew, which you can craft into a thread using a hammer. One of the best uses of sinew thread is you can use it to make twine, which is a crafting ingredient for a lot of the makeshift structures in the game. Hammers now degrade at half the speed when constructing. Thank God, because I was shooting through stone hammers like crazy. Other tools that are used in actions that aren't that hard in the tools, like cooking or electrical work, also had the amount they degrade decreased. Like I said earlier, now you can rip tarps up, but this also applies to medium and large pelts, so now you don't have to waste an entire cow's worth of hide just to make one hat. And something that kinda sucks, patching and removing patches from clothing has received an XP nerf, which is sad, but it was also kind of crazy how much XP you could get from just reading some books and wasting 100 rags, so it is reasonable. Vehicles are now considered visible if any tile the vehicle on is seen, which is good because I've been crashing way too many cars in the wrecks during the night, so this is amazing news for me. Now if you have a spoon or fork in a backpack or a held container, your character will use it to eat. Before that, you had to have it in your main inventory, which was kind of annoying. Related to that, now when you use an item with multiple uses in a backpack or container, it'll be brought back to that container, so that's a huge quality of life upgrade. For example, if you have like a drink in a cabinet and you drink half of it, your character will return it. And he'll do this for pretty much any item that it makes sense to do it with. Characters can now do actions while opening doors, climbing through windows or fences, and opening curtains. So no more getting your cigarettes cancelled. Now there are cap guns that zombies at the Wild West attraction will have on them. You can't train aim with them though, so they really just make a noise. I'm waiting for BB guns, man. Snow now fills up rain barrels with water, albeit slower than rain. Exciting stuff, I know. There is a bunch more. Tons of bug fixes, balancing changes, they fixed plumbing sinks, that's cool. If you want to read the entire log, as always, it's all in the description. But I've covered most of the important stuff. So if you excuse me, I'm gonna go play more Zomboid. Peace.